1,304, like 340 subscribers on our YouTube. These ninjas have 1.57 million, 1.34 thousand to 1.57 million, bro. That's a lot of people, bro. Like, so dope. And also, if it makes you feel any better, we did a collab with their Discord, Fresh and Fit Discord, Flat Earth Discord. We did a collaboration, and we found out that there's a whole bunch of mods over there that are flat earthers, bro. It's not like they're red pill, so some of them are already red pilled on this. So it's fucking awesome, bro. Like, we're in a good spot. We're in a great place. And we're not the only ones that know this stuff. Not by any means. There are definitely other people that know this truth. We're just, they're just not here, you know? So, anyway, I appreciate you guys listening to the clips and shit. I probably should roll out of here. I need to go to bed soon. But it was nice bringing out some old school clips and stuff like that. There's plenty more where that came from.
Yeah, appreciate it, dude. Good stuff.
Yeah, whether you like the whole red pill sexual marketplace stuff, it's still red pill at the end of the day, and red pill will lead to more truth. So these are our guys, you know what I mean? Whether we like them or not, these are the most likely people to wake up to flat Earth next. So we really should align with them, creating a legion, whatever it is. Maybe we start super chatting them more, whatever it is. But we need to infiltrate them and get the truth out.
That is, you know what? I like that you said that. I haven't thought about that. And honestly, I genuinely think, like, I know there's like you have to be careful, chat. That like conception that people have, like mainstream people have of flat earthers, so like they have all these like weird assumptions tied to who a flat earther is, and it's often way askew. It's like not even close. And I would say that happens very often with like quote unquote red pill stuff as well. They assume a bunch of stuff that may not exactly be what it is, and so people hear Fresh and Fit and they're like, oh, well, that's just like the girls on the panel. No, not really. To be honest, the content that I absorbed from Fresh and Fit, especially in the last year or so, has been the stuff without the girls. There's so much more content. Like Myron does stuff that's solo. Also, welcome Emo Ken as well. This your first time here, buddy?
Emo Ken.
Yeah.
Emo Ken. What's up, dude? What's
Emo Ken?
Have you been around other flat earthers? Have you talked to flat earthers before, bud?
Oh no, I'm just here to listen to it while playing Lego Indiana Jones.
We're actually doing a no listening panel right now, so we're glad you could join us. But like, have you talked to a flat earther before?
No, not really.
Wow. Yeah, you clicked on a flat earth channel, bro. But fine, we'll just give you a quick introduction. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go outside.
I have.
Oh, that'd be a good start. Yeah. Chat. What else do you guys have for him? Anything? Quick introduction. Who's got a good elevator pitch?
Well, I can tell him what flat Earth isn't. I think that's a good place to start.
All right. Yep. Hit it.
You've probably seen, if you've tried to Google flat Earth or YouTube it, you've probably seen a disc in space. That is definitely not flat Earth. That's a straw man, and that's a way to attack the idea to make it look stupid. So flat Earthers do not believe we live on a disc in space.
Yeah, I'll reverberate that. Oh shit. Oh. Well, we don't have a lot of beliefs, to be honest. It's not like a belief system. We just go outside and observe the earth, measure the earth, navigate on the earth. It's just the earth outside that we're saying is flat, and for a couple reasons. But I could probably ask you some questions about the universe, and then we would be a lot alike. For example, Ken.
I mean, I don't really question a lot of things about the universe because I don't care that deeply about the universe. It's not going to help me file my taxes or put food on my table.
Well, it's not supposed to change those things. It's not like knowing the nature of reality is not going to like relieve you of your life's responsibilities. If you have a family, you still got to take care of your family. If you have a job, you still need to go to that. If you have like a purpose, you need to still do those things. And so I don't think it's like a bad idea to know your surroundings, for example. Like I always use the example of like,
oh yeah, I never said don't know your surroundings. I'm just saying that I don't need to know the universe to know my surroundings.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
I think what we're trying to get at is that the idea of a ball in space has consequences. One of those consequences is we live in an endless, expanding universe. Basically, there's a vacuum in the sky. So when you look up at the sky, you will imagine, or a globe will imagine, an endless place with balls of gas and matter in a vacuum. And I think that has a profound effect on your own psyche. So whether you like it or not, you are affected by this belief.
Why does it have a profound effect on your psyche?
Well, because a lot of threats can come from that sky, the sky in the heliocentric model, whether it's aliens, whether it's meteors, all these ideas of solar flares, these threats to the whole of mankind can be shaped by the idea of space. And if everybody believes it, then we can put a tax on it. We can charge people for it. We can control people through fear.
But has that happened?
Well, I mean, what's your stance? Actually, I don't want to go into that topic, but there's knock-on effects to that. So, we have things like global warming, we have things like the Space Force, we have endless and billions of pounds of funding going into this place that could just be a complete fabrication. We're being told who we are by the people who are pushing this model and this idea. I think the latest idea is that we were created by aliens. That's going to have an effect on your philosophy.
Who said that?
Well, if you look at the History Channel, they play Ancient Aliens on repeat all day.
Don't look at the History Channel. Everyone understands the History Channel's bullshit at night.
Not so much, dude. There's a lot of people who get all of their main belief system from the TV.
Also a lot of, I'll be honest, there's a lot of idiots. There's a lot of idiots.
Yeah, but how did we get there? We didn't start off.
There's always been idiots. Idiots aren't a new phenomenon. There's always been idiots, man.
Yeah, but just as a general rule of thumb, the further back you go, it seems the more educated we were. We've been dumbed down.
Well, no, it's just that we didn't write down that there were idiots. Why would you write down about the idiots?
No, it's not that.
Not a lot of people wrote down about the idiots. Now we have things like social media, and we can document everything.
No, but before social media, it was obvious we were being dumbed down by the collective decisions we're making. For example, look at global warming.
I would tell you that the Cold War was pretty dumb.
Right, but what I'm saying is that you need a flower bed to be able to grow these dumb ideas. And that flower bed is the idea that we live in an endless vacuum, that we are not the center or the focus of anything, and that we're on the edge of this endless vacuum of space. That alone creates an insignificance to your life, whether you like it or not.
I mean, I don't ever think about it because I just go to my job or drink coffee.
It's pretty depressing. It's pretty depressing.
No, it's not depressing at all because I'm not thinking about my death.
No, but what I'm saying is, why would you
deeper.
sit and wonder about how insignificant we are? You wouldn't.
Exactly, I don't.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but you still believe it. I don't
ever think about it.
It's still the basis of your cosmology, whether you like it or not. Doesn't matter how much time you put into it. The model that you have of the world in your mind is a ball in a vacuum, insignificant due to chaos and randomness.
I mean, to be honest, my model of the world really isn't that deep. My model of the world is mostly like my road and the road to my job and my city. I don't really think about Ohio or Florida.
What I'm saying is, that's a consequence of the dumb cosmology we've been given. People don't care about space and people don't care about the surroundings.
Well, no, I don't care about that stuff unless if I'm in the mood for it.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. Nobody understands this.
What the fuck you mean it doesn't make sense?
A vacuum in the sky goes against all logic and the laws of nature. A spinning, curving...
Well, it's not in the sky. We're in it.
No, but I'm saying we're in the vacuum, yeah? We're a ball floating in a vacuum. That doesn't make sense logically. It goes against the laws of nature. Water curving around a ball goes against the laws of nature. All of the consequences
I would be a technical dickhead and say that, well, if you get a ball and then pour water on it, you can see it clearly curving down to the bottom and then dripping off. But exactly. I'm not going to be an asshole like that.
No, you're helping me. You're helping me because the ball runs off, right? The water runs off the ball, right? Why? Why does the water run off?
Yeah, because the gravity's down to the floor. That's why. It's not towards the ball.
It's not gravity. It's called relative density. Okay, it is gravity. It's specific gravity.
But is it gravity or relative density?
Specific
because
gravity.
You tried to correct me, and then it's like, no, it's gravity. It's like, which one is it?
Dude. Just listen. Yep. Specific gravity is synonymous with relative density. If you hear somebody mention specific gravity, what they're actually discussing with trying to bring up to you is relative density. And that is the fact that more dense things in the medium it's in will go down, less dense things in the medium it's in will go up. So we know the nature of water. We know water will always seek its level and its equilibrium and run to its lowest point till it lays flat. So that's how we know water can't stick to the surface, a curved surface. It will run down, seek its equilibrium, and lay flat.
I mean, that's cool and all, but this is more of a gravity problem.
I've just told you, we're talking about relative density. You can call it gravity, but what you're actually talking about is specific gravity. You're not talking about the Einsteinian or Newtonian gravity. That's the idea that you've got around your cosmology. That's the bit where there's no evidence and no force. So there's a misconception of gravity that has allowed people to believe that we live on a ball in a vacuum. But that's not gravity, not gravity that we're discussing. So this is what I mean. There's a misconception, and these misconceptions allow us to jump to conclusions. Now we're worried about aliens. Now we're worried about solar flares. Now we're worried about meteorites.
Well, I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, you may not, but we're a collective
okay.
here. We're a collective
Are
here.
you worried about aliens and G-men and things like that? Are
No,
you?
I know it's nonsense.
Okay, good. I'd be worried about you.
Look at Hollywood. Look at the films. Look at the TV. Look at the media. These
Actually,
are the biggest, most exciting ideas.
When was the last Alien movie? I don't remember. Was that like 2010? Hold on. I gotta Google this. When was the last big budget Hollywood film? When was the last? Ooh, 2019. What was it? That's Avengers Endgame and Infinity War.
You just Googled the most general question.
I know. I don't remember the last Alien movie. I want to find this out. Hold on. Let's find out the last Alien movie. I don't remember Alien movies since. Like,
I mean, look at Netflix. Look at Netflix, dude. Look how people are addicted to Netflix. Yeah, but you've got to remember, it's not all about you. We're a collective here.
Yeah, I know.
When I say we're being dumbed down, I don't mean me or you. I mean collectively, the population. I mean, for example, if you look back at older societies, celebrities were philosophers. Celebrities.
That was also the time before
physicists.
modern medicine.
Yeah, but modern
medicine
has created the most unhealthy population in mankind's history. So don't give modern medicine too much credit. What's modern medicine doing for us?
You just said it gave us the best population.
What's modern medicine doing for us?
You just said it gave us the best population. Most healthy.
No, the sickest. No, we're the sickest population.
Oh, sorry.
Cancer never existed in the old world. Diabetes never existed in the old. No, these are new.
Actually, we were.
These are new problems.
Well, hold on. Let me tell you a fun fact. Like, I'm not doing this as a way to be a dick. I'm just really giddy about fun facts in history. So back when we came over, like Columbus came over, that's its own thing. When Columbus came over, we were at risk of getting the natives diabetes because the sugar in their diets compared to the natives' diets. It's fucking wild, and it's not something you ever think about. But I like little history nitbits and fun facts like that.
Okay, well, look, that's just that's part of the narrative or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of controversy around.
We were literally at risk of getting the natives diabetes.
Yeah, let's not start a conversation on the natives of America.
That was in our diets versus the natives' diets.
Right, but there's all sorts of different theories around what happened to the natives and why they were sick, and if they were sick, and what happened to them.
No. They didn't get diabetes, or at least I don't think they got diabetes. I don't think they got diabetes. It's not stated if they got diabetes. It just says they were at risk of getting diabetes. So I'm assuming they did not get diabetes. They were just highly at risk of getting diabetes.
Okay,
I'm not saying this is how they all died. This is how they disappeared. This is how that stuff happened. I'm just saying at the starting of it, they were at risk of diabetes.
Okay, my only
and
point
it's a cool little
history. Start a conversation. Yeah, but it's not a fact. It's a theory. But
no, it is a fact.
No, it's not. What's a fact? Define a fact. What's a fact?
What?
What's a fact?
Huh?
Define it.
I'm not playing that game. This is stupid.
You said it was a fact. What's a fact? Because I'm telling you it's a theory.
Do you not know what a fact is?
I do, but I don't think you do. So I'm asking you to define what a fact is. What is a fact? Because if you're going to make absolute statements, you need to be able to back it to understand what a fact is. Do you want me to tell you?
I'm gonna let this sink in.
Do you want me to tell you what a fact is so you can put this into context?
I mean, hell, whatever gets you happy, man.
It's not for me, it's for you, dude. If you don't want to know, then that's fine. I don't have to tell you.
I'm good with whatever.
But if you're going to make a claim something's a fact, you should at least know what a fact is by definition.
I'm good with whatever. I'm just I'm just surprised that we're questioning what a fact is.
But because you're throwing it around willy-nilly without knowing the meaning of a fact. And this is why there's so many people who believe in a globe. The globe is not a fact. What you said earlier is not a fact.
I'm talking about literal history with Columbus and the Native Americans, and you're questioning, do you know what a fact is?
So define history.
I'm not even talking about
history?
flat Earth world. I'm not even talking about flat Earth world, cubic Earth, potato Earth. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fucking natives.
Listen, you think I'm being pedantic, but this is really important. Like, the key to understanding flat Earth is by understanding the difference between a fact and a belief.
I get it.
Between knowledge and a belief.
I know.
Right. So what I'm saying to you is the assumption that we have facts around the globe or around history is debatable. It depends on what you're talking about. But a fact is that which can be proven. A fact is that which can be verified to be true. So when you make a claim of something you cannot verify or we cannot verify collectively, it isn't a fact, is it? It's a belief. And that's all I'm trying to say. And when it comes to the globe, every single claim is a belief and not a fact. Every one of them. There is no direct evidence for curvature motion. There is no evidence that there's a vacuum in the sky to create that term fact. It's a belief. And it's the same with history. History is it's a set of beliefs basically written on the study of the past. But we have no way to verify a lot of these things. Some things you can. But what you talked about with the natives, that's not verifiable. So I'm not being a dick. I'm just saying this is Flat Earth 101. You need to be able to establish the difference.
I'm just saying that we have sources that say and cite their sources from the sources that cite their sources that cite their sources that cite their sources from the museum that cite their sources from things like the original text that someone wrote down on something like a ship log back in 14, whatever the fuck. Like,
Yeah,
that's how sources work.
Sounds like Chinese whispers, but the problem is if your original source...
Well, I mean, no. You can go back to the history in the museum if it's still there, if it's not burnt. Because that does happen sometimes, which is unfortunate.
I'm sorry, dude, I misheard. What did you say?
Which part?
The last bit you said.
That you can go back to the sources at the museum unless if it burned down, which is an unfortunate thing that happens sometimes.
Okay, let's talk about the sources of the globe, right? What's the original source of the globe?
I'm not talking about the globe. I'm talking about the thing that you can't back up Native Americans.
Oh, you want to talk about the source of the claims for the Native Americans? Well, what is
no, I'm not talking about that specifically. I'm saying that you say that you can't trust history.
You can't trust history because if
what about the sources of the people that wrote down history when it happened?
Right.
If I wrote down that I had oatmeal yesterday because I had oatmeal yesterday.
Yeah, I get your point. I
can back up that I had oatmeal because I wrote it down.
So let's keep this flat Earth related. Let's look at the history sources. Yeah. So the history states that the first. 1 second.
Holy shit! There's history.
So history states that one of the first claims of a globe was Ptolemy. Ptolemy from Greco-Egypt. He apparently created the geocentric model. Okay. He also created the Septuagint Bible, but let's not get distracted. He created a lot of the modern ideas that we have of the world. So where did he get his geocentric model? By looking at the sky. So he looked at the sky, made a claim. Okay. Now there's an earlier source from that. There's a claim that there was a guy
is geocentric the flat one or the round one? Fill me in real fast.
Geocentric is the Earth-centered ball.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And there's an earlier source. So where did he get this source? We don't know, but in history, they tell us that there was an ancient Greek called Eratosthenes who put some sticks in the ground, measured some shadows, and apparently figured out the size of the ball we live on. Okay?
A little more complicated than that, but go on.
That's pretty much what he did. It's not much more complicated
than that, but go on.
How so? Okay, how so, if you want to interrupt. How so? How's it more complicated than that?
I'll send you a video on it. Because I'm not educated in that field enough to explain it, but I'll have someone else who is explain it.
We are very aware of the Eratosthenes test. We're very aware of the claims that he made.
Oh no! This is a newer guy. Don't worry.
But listen, what he did doesn't prove we live on a ball, because we can do the same test on a flat table with a lamp.
Oh, all right. I say cool.
We can see the shadow lengths, and we can calculate the sphericity of a flat table. It's like you don't want to hear it, bro.
Yeah,
maybe you think I'm being a dick or I'm being a bit condescending. I don't mean to if I seem that way.
I'm trying to get to the point. Deep, man. I'm trying to type.
Yeah, but you're missing the most important parts of what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, because I'm trying to type. Give me a minute.
Yeah, you're trying to find something that I know more about than you, and you think I don't. So I'm trying to explain to you.
Damn it, I can't find that guy. Proceed. Are you there?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, you can go on what you were going on about.
What was I talking about?
Man, I don't fucking know. I was trying to type.
So what's the point of me picking back up then? I told
Because
you
I'll
weren't
probably
listening,
listen to
dude.
you now because I'm not typing.
Yeah, so that experiment doesn't prove anything. You can calculate the sphericity of a flat surface by using shadow lengths with a local light source. So the whole point I was saying that was to say that the original sources for the globe are not factual. Do you understand that? They are not proof or evidence of a curve. They're a correlation. We have correlation. We can look at the sky, correlate it. Maybe we live on a ball. We can look at shadow lengths and say, if we lived on a ball, this is how big it would be due to the shadow lengths, and the sun would be this far away. But do we have any evidence for a ball? Do we have any evidence for curvature or motion? No. Zero.
Uh-huh.
So the globe isn't a fact, it's a belief.
Okay.
They just present it as a fact because they do not want it questioned. And there's a lot of intelligent scientists and academics who build upon the idea we live on a globe using these correlations, but never fundamentally question, has anybody ever measured the curve? Has anybody ever measured the motion of the Earth? Has anybody ever proved that we can have gas pressure without some sort of containment for the atmosphere? No. But we just assume that, yes, it must be true because we have some correlations and people wrote papers on them, and we have a model now. But that doesn't make it true, right? Correlation is not causation.
I don't have the credentials to go fact check every single person right now. That would take a bit of time and a bit of money of hiring people, but at least a lot of this stuff you can go prove if you have the right enough credentials. A lot of people do prove this stuff. It's their job.
How?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
But
and
they
what have
don't.
credentials got to do with anything?
I mean, if you have the right credentials, you can either prove or disprove things.
How?
Have
How
the
does having
wording of your
credentials? How does having credentials make you give you more ability to prove or disprove things? How exactly?
Because you'd be more educated in the program than someone else.
Well, that's an assumption. There's plenty of people who know more than people with credentials
no
about a
shit.
subject.
No shit.
Yeah. There's plenty of qualified by experience people who don't have the credentials, who know more about, I don't know, electrical engineering than somebody who went to uni to study it.
No shit, dude.
Yeah, so you keep saying these stupid things.
No, it's because you're trying to take every little thing that I'm saying and then take it literal and not give it leeway of common sense.
Now, this is the point of flat Earth. We assume too much. You assume too much. And that assumption has led you to a set of beliefs that are not fact.
This is exhausting.
It's not easy, dude. But you're fighting rather than listening.
No, I'm playing Lego Indiana Jones.
No, you're fighting. Dude, you're fighting.
I'm playing Lego Indiana Jones with an Xbox controller while I have you on my second monitor, dude.
I know, but you're fighting and just listening. And
I mean, fuck, I'm fighting these dudes. I'm talking with you.
Dude, I'm not interested in your Lego Indiana Child's game. Right?
I never asked.
You keep bringing it up, though. I don't care. You're fighting against the idea that you are not assuming and that with enough credentials, we can prove something. So I'm asking you, what can you prove with credentials? What evidence is there for
Dude, I'm not here to debate you. I'm here to listen.
So stop making dumb claims then that you can't back up. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Okay, we're cool then.
Cool. Proceed.
Proceed to what? I thought you said you wanted to play Indiana Jones. Now you're asking me to carry on.
Because I want to listen to you guys talk. I like having background.
That'll be boring. We need people to talk to about it, like people that think they live on a globe and how they think they know that.
I mean, hell, I'll fight with you.
Wait, you guys don't believe in that Mohammed pedophile, right?
What?
No, we don't talk about that. Yeah, the thing is, anybody who stays around for longer than 30 seconds, they're the ones, if you want to flip it, like, we're not the ones who will be getting bullied if this carries on for longer than 5 minutes. It would be the other way around, and we try not to bully. But it's very easy to bully a glober. It's not very easy to bully a flat earther. I mean, you can throw insults from a distance.
Did you just say a glober?
Yeah.
We
guys are really easy to bully.
Shit now? Is this like a you camp my camp thing?
This is a short word of saying you believe in the globe. Glober. It's just a shortened version of globe believer, right? But I want to address something you said.
I mean,
You said
sure, I guess if you're
said
using a term every day, you got to have shorter terms. But
right,
like,
yeah, that's
are
all it
people
is.
using these terms every day?
Yeah, this is a 24/7 flat Earth.
Yeah, you could say NPC if you like.
All right.
We can call you globe philosophers if you think that sounds fancier and you like
I
the
mean,
sound of it.
I mean, whatever gets your dick hard. I
No,
guess
right.
I don't
There's-
care.
yeah, look, we, you know, we're not. I see. We weren't born flat earthers, man. We went through education system, learned about the globe, saw all the TV shows. We're exposed to all the same.
I mean, I
imagery,
hope we
blah,
all
blah, blah,
did.
blah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta look into it. You gotta look into
hope-
it and find out that there's not much to that. Yeah. Well, there's not anything to that. All that stuff, right?
Yeah, that's indoctrination. And when you say, I hope we all did, you're basically saying you're
No,
hoping.
I hope we all know how to count
the
to
same
10.
Dude,
I hope we all have a basic education.
Yeah, it's indoctrination because I told you this is not factually based. This is a belief based on correlation.
Oh no, I'm not talking about like being told the Earth is round. Don't worry, I'm not talking about that. Like I know you don't trust the system and stuff. I know. Don't worry. It's okay.
It's irrelevant about whether we trust the system or not. The question is,
Okay, I
is
know,
the globe
I know,
a reality?
It's okay.
Is the globe a reality? That's the question.
I
Does
don't
it
know.
present itself in our reality?
But we're not saying that you can't learn useful things through the education system. Of course.
Of
there's things
course,
you
that's
you
what
can
I'm saying.
learn. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, of course. It's just that he thought I was.
No matter who says so, no matter who says something to you, whether they claim to have credentials or not, whether they've gone through extensive education or they're just the local village idiot, if they make a claim, right, then we're in the position where our stance is to challenge that and ask, what is the evidence? Is there verifiability to this? Is there falsifiability to this? Is it observable? Is it measurable? Is it testable?
Oh, yes, there is. If I say my hair is blonde, you can test that. You can taste that. Please don't taste my hair. But you can, and you can prove that my hair is blonde in real life. And it's not just a baseless claim on the internet. Now, trust me, I've probably
Great.
learned more
So how
from the
do we do
village
that with the ball?
that's useful in my
before you
life
move
than
on-
I did from Einstein.
Before
But
you move on,
it's
how do we
provable.
test that with the ball? Like
How
your
do we
hair.
test that with a ball?
Yeah, you says if we want to prove you're blonde, we can do that. Great, and I agree. There is a way to prove that. How do we
Yes.
prove we live on a spinning, curving ball in a vacuum?
I mean, we're not talking about that. We're talking about proving my hair is blonde, but...
No, you're talking about that. We're talking about the globe. And we're talking about how there is no proof for the globe. You've used an analogy, so we're asking you to back it. How do you apply that to the globe?
Man, I don't fucking know. I'm talking about blonde hair.
So your analogy was false. It's called a false equivalence
I mean,
fallacy.
no, it was equivalent to that, proving my hair is blonde,
Right, but why did you bring that up in the first place?
because I can have establishments of fact.
Agreed. So don't you think it's good to be able to verify claims?
Like
Isn't
what?
it a good
The
thing?
world being round, or the world being flat, or my hair
There you
being
go.
blonde?
There we go. Yeah, we're talking about the shape of the Earth. Not the shape, but the surface of the Earth. The surface of the Earth is claimed to be curving and spinning. How do we verify that? Like your analogy you gave as an example, how do
Telescope,
we do that with the ball?
telescope, I guess.
But a telescope will show you that the Earth is flat, not curving.
No, you can like stare at the. I mean, don't stare at the sun, but they have the better microscopes to do that. But if you decided to stare at the sun like a moron, you can see at least for a temporary amount of time.
Dude, why are you giggling? Why are you
Because it's funny
giggling?
as hell.
No, dude,
Um,
you seem nervous. You seem nervous. You don't need. This isn't
No,
a
I'm
debate.
high as hell right now.
This isn't
Oh.
a debate. We're not trying to debate you. We know
I
that
know,
you
I'm
haven't
having a
looked
great
into this.
time. I'm having a great time.
Don't need to be nervous. All we're asking
I'm
is.
not. I'm having a fun time.
Yeah, there's a lot of nervous people who have fun. But what I'm listen,
No,
I'm not
what the
trying to
fuck
put
are
you
you
down
talking
either.
about? I'm high as hell right now. I'm just smoking weed. Don't say I'm nervous.
Well, maybe the weed's making
I'm
you nervous.
No, I'm listening to Pirates of the Caribbean playing Indiana Jones with an Xbox controller. I'm not the nervous one here. I'm drinking
Dude.
coffee with a fucking cat mug.
I'm gonna have to turn you down. You're starting to shout. Stop shouting.
Okay.
I'm not trying to upset you, and we're not trying to debate you. We're just trying to get you to realize that the belief of the ball is nothing but a belief. That's all it is. It's a belief, and this evidence
I
you keep
know.
saying exists Telescopes do not prove we have curvature. Telescopes will show you that we can see 10, 20, 30, 40 miles without any evidence of drop over distance. You need drop over distance if we live on a ball. So a telescope is a flat Earth proof. It's not a globe proof.
Right.
So the point I'm trying to lead you to is to realize that any claim you make will not be direct evidence of this curvature or motion. And isn't that suspicious? You're not there yet, but the point I'm trying to get you is that because there's no evidence.
It's very suspicious.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Suspicious enough to warrant investigation, I would argue.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what we've done, and that's what we've been doing since 2013.
Damn,
since
that's
2013. Yeah, it's fairly recent. Yeah, it's fairly recent, but it's been long enough to go through every single claim. Yeah, every single claim of the ball.
We should have got onto this earlier.
I was trying, dude. We kept talking about Lego Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can't go back and research this shit earlier because it's in the past now, but...
Right, and every single claim of the globe comes back as a flat Earth proof.
Holy shit, dude.
Long distance observations show the Earth is flat. Any experiment to detect motion shows the Earth is stationary.
Also, can I get sources on this? I gotta do some flat Earth researching to prove to my globist friends now.
Dude, it's about yourself. It's forget everybody else.
So can I have some sources to send to my globist friends or not?
I wouldn't suggest talking about this with friends until you've got a handle on the concept or the idea.
No, that's why you send me the sources. Don't worry, I'm not educated.
I think we've got some new people joined. Hello?
Oh, okay, let's just move on then. Hello, people!
You're not interested, dude, are you?
Hello.
Let's face it, you're not interested.
No, I'm very interested.
You've just
Hello,
sat there
people, welcome to the Flat Earth.
Sat there and told me, I'm going to mute you if you try and pose as a flat earther again.
Fuck you mean? I'm bought over.
We don't need people like you who do not look into things to start claiming they're flat earthers. That's the last thing we'd want. It takes a long time to come to the understanding that the Earth isn't a ball.
So, do you want me to join your belief, or do you not want me to join your belief? I'm confused now.
Hell no. We don't want you to... It isn't a belief. This is what I'm telling you. It's not a belief. Stop saying it's a belief. We're talking about empiricism. Empirical evidence shows the Earth is not rotating and this surface is not curving. That's not something to believe. That I started this conversation saying there's a difference between belief and knowledge. It is a fact that there is no drop over distance.
Do you want me to just absorb it? What do you want me to do with this knowledge then?
I just want you to...
Because I just said that I bought into it.
I don't want
and you're not satisfied with that.
No, we don't want you to buy into anything. We want you to take the time to challenge your own beliefs.
Okay, I did that.
No, you haven't. You've done nothing but play Indiana Jones and yell on a mic nervously.
I mean, you can say that I'm nervous.
Well, you're not now. You're not now, but when...
I mean, no, I wasn't earlier.
Okay, dude. But the point is, you haven't looked into it.
Yeah, I've looked into it.
Stop lying, dude.
Okay.
In order to have this discussion, you need someone who's honest about it. You know, you honestly haven't looked into it.
Okay.
Because otherwise you're not going to believe a word we say, and we're not trying to get you to believe anything. We're trying to get you to understand the established facts, the established truth and natural laws of the world will show you and tell you that this place is not moving, that this surface is not curving. It can be proven as fact. You said the globe can be proven as fact.
And I'm saying I agree.
I'm switching it on you. No, the only proof we have in natural science is that there is no curvature or motion.
I'm saying I agree, and you're still lecturing me. It's really exhausting. I can say that I agree, and then you still fucking lecture me.
Okay, okay then. So if you're a flat earther, what's your top 5 flat earth facts? Go.
What?
What are the reasons that you know how you know the earth is flat? If you're a flat earther, let's hear them. You said you did the research. You got upset when I called you a liar, so I want you to prove it. How is the earth flat? How do you know that?
Well, I mean, go outside, look at it. There's a lack of visible curvature. You can tell it's flat by the horizon. The argument against the time zones, the argument against gravity, the lack of evidence of a curved Earth. What about it?
Yeah, but how do you know these things? Did you just hear me say it, or did you actually do research? Did you actually do tests and experiments to prove this?
I mean, should we go out right now and do my backyard and start doing these?
No, you kind of insinuated that you'd already done this. I'm trying to find out whether you really did or not. Because I did these things. You know, I went out with my old man with a camera. We did some long-distance observations. Because you said we could prove that we lived on a ball, that there is established facts. That's when I asked you what's a fact. So the only thing I was trying to do was prove to you there is no established facts when it comes to the globe. It's just a belief system. It's a cosmology.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Well, then we're good. We're good. We're keeping it real. That's what it is. It's a cosmology and it's a belief. It's philosophy based on several correlations, some sticks and shadows, by looking at the sky, then doing and making a model. That's how we've established the Earth is a ball. But that doesn't comport with reality. And I said to you, it's suspicious to the point where it's worthy of investigation. Becoming a flat earther isn't a belief decision. It's a, oh shit, okay, fuck, we have no evidence for this ball. Okay.
Well, shit, we have no evidence for this ball.
Right. I'm not trying to get you to believe anything. I'm just trying to get you to accept the actual established facts. I'm surprised you haven't asked the why would they lie question.
What was that?
I said, I'm surprised you haven't asked why would they lie.
Who?
You. Why would they lie about it? The credentialed people. The people with credentials who are so-called proving the globe that you claimed earlier. Why would they lie? That tends to be a question that comes after understanding that there is no evidence for the ball. A lot of people usually ask, why would they lie about it?
I mean, probably money, maybe pushing their ideology. Actually, that one would make a lot of sense. Yeah, that's probably the reason. Or they got paid off. Like, there's a lot of reasons why someone would do something.
Right. I actually liked your answer there. Yeah. It's multifaceted. There's multiple reasons, I would imagine.
Government could have paid them.
They could be hiding more land. They could be hiding the creator. Yeah. There's a lot to it.
There's a lot of motives for a lot of different people. There's also some people that aren't even logical in their motives, so you can't even try to guess. Some people are crazy enough to do things for made-up motives that seem fucking schizo to others. And then that's how you get their top 5 most wanted.
I would argue the biggest point to this is taking established science and turning it into theoretical. People now believe that looking at the stars is science. People now believe that discussing relativistic principles is science. And what
I would say it's more of a nature thing.
No, nature would be natural science. So we're talking about what causes things in nature.
Wouldn't the stars be natural science? The stars are natural. That's in nature. It's not on Earth's nature. It's in the space nature, if you want to call it that. There's probably a better term out there, but I'm not that educated.
You could argue that about virtual realities in virtual reality nature. That's not natural science.
Maybe you could. I don't know.
Well, you could, but you wouldn't be in the realm of natural science anymore.
Well, I guess you just answered that question there yourself. I'm not educated in this.
I know, dude. I'm not saying you are. I'm not trying to debate you. I'm just I'm trying to tell you that looking at the stars isn't anything to do with natural science.
Of course it isn't.
But you just claimed it was.
Well, I guess it's not. I was wrong and I made a mistake.
Well, they're natural. They're part of the physical and natural world, like whatever they are. But using them for any scientific inquiry is going to be extremely difficult since you can't do anything with them. Like, you can only look at them, and observation of natural phenomenon is just
I
the first
agree with
step
what that
in the
guy
scientific
said.
method, right? Can't get hands-on with them. Can't peel them back like an onion, see how they work, as Fred Hoyle said.
Is that Emo? Can you still there?
Yeah, what's up?
So let's say you genuinely did come to the conclusion that the Earth wasn't a spinning ball. How do you think that would change, the claims of society? How many things do you think, in terms of knock-on effects, there is to understanding that we've been lied to about the Earth?
Shit.
Do you think it's significant?
Well, yeah, it's got to be. Like, this is the base fundamental of reality, I guess.
Right.
Like, this,
Yeah.
it's all based off the foundation of the log cabin. The log cabin itself doesn't really matter unless if it's the foundation. The foundation is what everything's built on. So if the foundation is the thing that's the problem, then everything else on top is going to be fucked up as well.
Right. And I'm not just
Exactly.
talking about science. I'm talking about some of the,
I know you're not.
society, where we're putting our money, where we're using our funding, where we're putting our energy. So this lie is like, it's keeping mankind in a set of chains. It's bleeding us dry. It's taking away our understanding of who we are. And if they did lie about the bull, that also means they've lied.
It means they probably lied about other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So there's huge consequences to this claim of a bull.
I know.
Huge.
Very big.
Right. Yeah. Which makes it a worthy subject, genuinely. A worthy subject. Whether you're into, philosophy, spirituality, science.
Oh, yeah, because it funnels down to everything.
Right, yeah. And those who have not come to the conclusion, well, they could be building off a faulty foundation, all of their belief system, all of their philosophy, right?
Exactly. It doesn't matter what you say because the foundation is the problem. For an example, if you live on a village that's overhanging a cliff, so the only foundation you understand is, well, we need rope to stand it up. If you're building on solid ground, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know if you follow that analogy or not, but
no, I do. It's brilliant. Yeah,
okay.
No, I agree. And then we have all these problems now in cosmology. Yep. We have something called the axis of evil. We have the EMB radiation problem. We have the not enough matter in the universe problem. It starts to make sense why they can't build a working model of the universe.
Wait, hold on. We don't have enough matter in the universe?
Yeah. In order to...
I haven't heard about this. Can you go on?
Yeah, have you heard of dark matter?
Like, as a very, very rare off thing, but yes. Like, I've heard about it as, like, essentially the impossible shit. But nothing more than just that.
Yeah, it's a necessary claim.
Like, I kind of forget about it until someone brings it up.
Yeah, because it bears no relevance to anything apart from if you're trying to justify that the universe operates in a mass attracting mass. The reason for the orbits is due to mass. Pieces of mass are attracted to other pieces of mass.
So it's
Now
kind of like everything's a battery.
Everything's
Like, you
attracted
got the
to
positive
everything.
and the negative end.
That's the claim. No. The claim is that large masses, are attracted to other masses. That's the claim. And that's why they say we have the orbits that we have, right? The problem is we do not have enough mass to keep everything in place. We're seeing perfect alignments. We're seeing regular every year, the same constellations. We're seeing these orbits with only, a single mass, elliptical orbits where there's no mass on the other side. We've got all sorts of problems if it's mass attracting mass. We have all sorts of problems with the cosmology. We can't model it. So there's an experiment. There's a thought experiment called the three-body problem.
What's the three-body problem?
When we try to model more than two bodies in a gravity-based physics environment, we're not able to model our universe.
Are we modeling this? Are you talking about modeling it on a computer or something?
Yeah, that's why I called it thought experiment. So when we try to reenact the sky, the orbits, and the bodies using math, attracting mass.
I mean, you can't get nothing perfect on a computer. This is like saying, why is my computer getting the error? Meanwhile, you're staring at the.
No, that's not his objection. Continue, other guy. But like, if our models are even close to being accurate, like the error will be what's the word I'm looking for?
You're not trusting. You're
negligible.
You're using the computer as your evidence of why this can't be possible. Meanwhile, staring at this.
No, but you're missing the point here. We can't go past two bodies. So if we was to say mass attracted mass,
in your simulation,
and we want to,
but
we can't simulate it.
Life.
No, think you're staring at
using Newtonian mechanics. He's right. So using Newtonian mechanics, the three-body problem is unsolvable, and that's because each body influences the other, and so it's nonlinear, and it's sensitive to initial conditions. And there's no general solution with Newtonian mechanics. You need Einstein's general relativity.
Right, but what I'm saying is, he asked about dark matter. What is dark matter? So dark matter came about because of these problems.
Are you saying that I have to back dark matter? I don't know what.
No.
I'm
trying to tell you.
Sorry, I think this argument is happening. If you ask what is dark matter, you're asking the wrong question. Because what's happening is dark matter is a result of a model. You should be asking, is this model that I'm invoking, is this reflective of reality? You should be asking more foundational questions than that.
He's not looked into it at all. You sound like you have a little bit. So I'm trying to give him a layman's. Yeah, I can tell you know what you're talking about, and I was trying to give him a layman's answer because the question was the point was that the model doesn't work and reality doesn't comport with the ideas of a heliocentric model. So I mentioned a bunch of things like the axis of evil and like dark matter. Holes in the model have to be plugged, and that's where you astutely said dark matter came as a result as having to plug a hole in the model, because we can't model the universe because mass doesn't attract mass. Not only that, there isn't even enough mass in this universe or in the sky that we see to be able to have the orbits and have the constellations and the stars move as they do. So they had to come up with dark matter to explain how this could work. Now, dark matter is unexplainable. It's the absence of matter. Yeah, they're basically saying there's something magical taking the place of the mass that we need to explain this. So that was my point. My point is they have to create all these new ideas, so they're building off a faulty foundation to plug holes in a model that never worked to begin with.
I said that as well.
You're
right. So you're right, with a bit of nuance. Like, it's not that dark matter is like the absence of matter. This is with the model that we have, using Einstein's general relativity. Let me see, try and remember. I believe that basically, I'm
assuming we just don't have the formulas and stuff yet to try to replicate it.
The things that we observe, like gravitational lensing, like the cosmic background radiation, it's basically like a mathematical entity that is used to make the equations work, pretty much. Like we observe this, the model predicts this, we need some object to balance the equation. So they created the mathematical
Definitely.
construct for dark
We're
matter.
just missing a thing.
I don't know what that means. Like, I don't.
We're missing a
lot
part of the equation, probably.
We're missing a lot of the equation. It's a model.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're making
why
the
It's not even. If you ask me, I don't even think dark matter exists. I think we just need to find a better model that describes reality better.
You're completely good in believing that. It's not a thing we can prove yet.
Well, that's not true. So,
Wait, can we prove it?
Well, so, like physicists right now would say that the evidence for dark matter is Einstein's theory, right? Being able to predict phenomena that we observe, and that's what his theory predicts. His theory predicts the existence of dark matter in order to balance the equation, like gravitational lensing, right? Light bends more than we expect around massive clusters, and if we assume that all that is there is matter, then it would require more mass than we can observe. We're not observing the amount of mass that is creating this observed effect. If we take Einstein's theory of general relativity to be like precise or accurate, then this is what would be predicted. There would be mathematical. There would be objects with these properties, right? Like the properties of dark matter would be, I think, like doesn't absorb light, right? Can someone correct me if I'm wrong? Like doesn't absorb light, or
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a ghost in the shell.
like what are properties?
what?
Of dark matter?
It's undetectable. It's basically you could argue it doesn't exist, and you'd be factually correct.
You would
I
be
heard
There
it's
is
a
no
Ghost in the
evidence.
Shell
There's no
anime.
evidence. There's no evidence of dark matter
No,
existing.
Oh, and I'm not even like a proponent of dark matter. I don't even think that this is a good model. But like, given the current model we have, dark matter interacts via gravity. It does not absorb, emit, or reflect light. It's invisible, but we can infer it via gravitational, like fine-tuned gravitational experiments, and the degree to which the light is bending around it. It's called gravitational lensing. So a physicist who's a proponent of this would argue that the evidence for dark matter is the absence of the mass that would be required to create this observation. That's what they would say.
Right, but we don't even have the ability to prove that Einstein's relativity theory of the warping and bending of light due to the warping and bending of space-time is even a real thing. We're also having to make an assumption because we can't prove that. So it's a correlation.
You're hinting on a very interesting philosophical dilemma in the foundation of physics. So physics foundations is the study, more philosophical than experimental. It's the study of the ontology of physical objects in our models. So when Einstein theorizes that there is a space-time that is bending, coupled with the presence of matter or mass, there's a question to be asked. Is there really a thing called space-time, which is a real physical object that this model is modeling?
Oh, that's easy. No, it's not physical. Time and space are concepts like length and height. So no, there isn't such thing.
Let me finish. That's what I'm getting to that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Or, much like Newton, are these concepts just concepts that are really useful and make predictions that come true? Currently,
Ding, ding, ding.
that's your position, right? You wouldn't be wrong for believing that, but I'm telling you, like, that's not something. The only way to prove that is to step outside of our consciousness and observe true reality, base reality, which we have no way of doing. All we have are models. All we can do is make predictions.
Yeah, so that was my original point. My original point is the only evidence for a globe is correlation based on philosophy. We don't have any direct evidence for dark matter, for curvature, for motion.
What do you mean
for
by
a
direct
vacuum.
evidence?
So something that can be validated or proven, some sort of experiment. You can't do science on any of these subjects. These subjects are what we call metaphysics. So you believe that, not you, but a global would believe that warping and bending of space-time causes the appearance of mass attracting mass. You've got several problems. We have no evidence of mass attracting mass. We have no evidence of time and space being anything more than concepts. And we have no evidence, we have no experiments we can do on the sky. So this is metaphysics.
So if your basis for evidence is like directly observing space-time, well, like, here's the thing I think you're not understanding. All we have are models. So anytime you do a scientific experiment, you're going to be using
mathematical
a model.
constructs. That's all you've got. Is a mathematical construct to describe something.
That's exactly it. All you have are
Here's the kicker. You've got to prove what you've got first.
How?
Exactly. That's what we wanted you to say.
That was my whole point, dude. My whole point is that to believe in the globe, you've got to go into philosophy. You can't go into empiricism to prove your globe. That was my whole point.
Philosophy necessitates empiricalism. Like, I don't think you can, like, anytime you make an observation, right, you have to assume something about that object, that which you're observing.
And then we can validate, we can use the scientific method to prove causality, and then we're doing science, right? But if we're going to do anything science related, then we're going to come back with a stationary, motionless plane. We're also going to come back with no dark matter, and we're going to come back with no claims of the sky being, a universe with balls of gas in a vacuum, which go against the laws of nature. Everything that's claimed by the globe goes against natural law.
There's a couple of wrong things there. So one, the atmosphere is completely consistent with natural law due to the fact that it's a gradient. So it's a pressure gradient. So
what's a pressure gradient?
Yeah, that's just where it grades into. So like you start with an area at the bottom of high pressure, and instead of discretely, like an example of something discrete pressure would be
kind of like a car gradient, kind of like the shine of like a car gradient.
So any gradient just means grades into, rather than, like, it's continuous. It's not discrete. So like it's like as you go up, density gets lower and lower and lower until you have nothing, which is a vacuum.
That's incorrect. By definition, you can't have a gradient without a container. There is no gradient where there is nothing on the other side. That would be a vacuum, and all the gas would disperse into the vacuum. So the only way you can demonstrate a gradient, if you're going to be honest, the only way you can demonstrate a gradient is within a container. So the necessary antecedent for a gradient would be contained gas or a volume of gas. We have a steady PSI on the Earth.
So the container, so you can have gas pressure in a container, right? Because the container is providing some force per unit of area, and that's all that pressure is. It's just a force per unit of area.
So how do you have pressure without a container for the gas to press on?
Yeah. So in the absence of electrostatic forces that are provided by the container, you would have some. In the case of Earth, because it's big enough, the gravitational force is what's providing the pressure gradient. It is what's creating the pressure gradient.
Hold on. We've just the gravitational argument is what we were on the table discussing. We have no evidence for the warping and bending of space-time or mass attracting mass. So you're in a circular argument. You can't use gravity to prove gravity, because all we can prove is relative density, and we can only prove that this gradient caused by relative density can only exist within a container. So you're in a circular argument.
So when we do, for example, I don't know why you're saying we have no evidence of the bending and warping of space-time. You do realize that that's just a mathematical construct. Like, no one is going to be able to prove
it as a container.
Huh?
You can't invoke a mathematical construct theory philosophy as the container.
Again, so in a container of gas, in that case, you're modeling the thing that is creating the pressure is the electrostatic forces from the walls of the container. The container is irrelevant. It's the force that matters.
Yeah, but how does that translate in reality? You need a surface for the gas to press on.
No.
That's the necessary antecedent to
PSI.
Wait. Hold on.
Square inch of what, my friend? Think about it. You can do it.
Why does the surface create pressure? Let's start there.
You mentioned it. It's a relationship. Yes, you. Who's that?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying because the gas is pressing on it.
Pressing on it. Yeah. What does that mean? Can you formalize that?
Gas.
The fuck you mean? He said pressing on it.
Gas pressure is defined.
Understand?
Yeah, like what does that mean?
Gas pressure is defined as the force exerted by the gas on the walls of the container.
Like if I get a container, if I get a small metal box, fill it with air, and then I make the small metal box. The small metal box, I mean, if I make it smaller, you have a higher pressure in a smaller area.
There was a guy. Yeah, but so the other guy had it. It's the force of the walls of the container on the gas.
Yeah.
Wrong, the other way around.
It's the force the gas exerts on the walls of the container.
Those are the same force.
No, due to its motion.
Newton's third law. Newton's third law, right?
Hey, slow down. Stop trying to reconstruct it to suit your twisted argument. It's the force
calm down.
gas applies on the walls of its container. This is cited in multiple spots, mate.
Those are the same. Okay, that quantity
is they're minding their own business and the gas comes along.
If it floats your boat for me to say the other way around, that's fine. But I'm telling you, like, it's the same force. Forces come in pairs. So the force that the walls of the container exert on the gas will be the same force that the gas exerts on the walls of the container by Newton's third law. We agree?
No, Newton's.
I agree.
Newton's out.
Okay, no. Newton's out for cosmological phenomena. That's where the model breaks down.
No, for everything. Laws of motion and gravity.
On Earth, like, you do realize the ideal gas law is derived from Newtonian mechanics, right?
Everywhere.
Everywhere? What is everywhere?
Just in general, he was wrong.
No, he wasn't. Like, do you believe that the ideal gas law is true?
Yes, the ideal gas law is true, but that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that Einstein was Newtonian physics is correct. Yes, we understand that how gas pressure works, and the ideal gas law is a good explanation for that. But the guys are right. It is the pressure that the gas exerts on the container. It is the gas itself that causes the pressure by being contained.
Who disproved Einstein? I missed that one.
Wait, hold on. Let's not deviate too far. So, if you believe that the ideal gas law is true, that's derived using Newtonian mechanics. So, if you don't think Newtonian mechanics
the other way
is
around.
right,
He used the ideal gas law to try and come up with his theories, but the problem is the ideal gas law is testable, repeatable, demonstratable, whereas Newtonian mechanics is not. So your sleight of hand, you're saying that the ideal gas law justifies Newtonian physics. It's the other way.
No. That's not what I said.
You said the ideal gas law came from Newtonian physics. That's incorrect.
Yeah.
Hold on. For us casual people in the back, what even is the Newtonian gas law?
PV equals nRT, where P is the pressure, V is the volume of gas. Yeah. P is the pressure, V is I'll even write in the side chat. P is the pressure, V is the volume of gas, okay, and that is equal to nRT, where N is it's usually moles, but it's the number of particles, basically. T is the temperature, and R is the rate. Wait, is R no, R is not the rate, sorry. R is the ideal gas constant.
I mean, I don't see a problem with that. You see a problem with that?
Yeah, the problem is, in order to have a volume of gas, what's the necessary antecedent for a volume of gas?
A volume of gas? That's it.
Container.
I mean, if you have a problem with that, I guess write up a scientific journal and send it to whoever.
No, we don't.
So,
need to do that.
in the absence...
We can establish this with logic. You can't have a volume without a container. So the container.
I mean, hell, if you're, I'm not questioning you. I'm not questioning you. I mean, if you're right, so send it to.
No, he's not. No, he's not right. He's not right.
Oh, okay.
When you talk about a volume of gas,
yes, I am.
You don't.
You guys can. You guys can find me in the corner.
Just let me make my case, please. Stop.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I already know what you're going to say. You're going to say that in the absence of a container, if you have a volume of gas, it will disperse equally randomly in all directions. Is that why you believe that that's a prerequisite?
That's a physical law within the ideal gas law. That is how gas behaves. Without containment, gas will move in all directions, causing random collisions, and it will disperse into the available space. Yeah, that's how we know gas to work on the Earth.
In the absence, right, of any other force. Yeah, you'd be right. If you take a container of gas and you put it next to a vacuum, well, we know what's going to happen. It's going to disperse equally and randomly in all directions in the vacuum. That's because the volume or the column of gas isn't large enough to be affected by gravity. In other words, gravity.
Now stop, hold on. Now prove this experimentally for us. Surely this has been done.
Prove what?
Prove gas not fucking off.
Yeah, but one sec, volume. Yeah. Volume is just going to be the area which any amount of gas will be restricted to.
I mean, the space that it's restricted to, right?
Could you say that? Could you say that like tires are a good example because it keeps them inflated?
No, we know what happens with a tire, right? You open the tire, you press the little button, it's gonna fly out of the tire, right? Because that's the only point.
So it's a great example. So it's a great example. Yeah, it is a very good example because as soon as that containment is released, as soon as you open that container, the valve, then the gas will violently escape from the tire. That's how gas works.
Yeah.
So he's claiming there's a magical force called gravity that can contain the gas. We're asking for proof and evidence that a pseudo force of bending and warping of space-time can act as a physical container, because he can't demonstrate this on the Earth, so he has to go into philosophy.
What the fuck?
Okay, so two things here. First,
Wait, so first off and foremost, what are the two corners here? What are we fighting over?
right. So what we're fighting over right now. First of all, I just want to one thing that I want to get
Let's establish
clear
this
is that the ideal gas law is derived from Newtonian mechanics. So implicitly, everyone in this room talking about the ideal gas law agrees with Newton. So when I brought up the laws of motion, nobody should have said that was wrong.
And that's
Are
a
we on the
straw
same
man.
page?
No.
Yeah,
Just
not a
because
straw man.
Yeah, it's a straw man. Yeah, because the ideal gas law is fact and true, that doesn't mean that mass attracts mass. That's your problem. You have a correlation, once again, a correlation that you think is evidence, but you cannot directly evidence mass attracting mass, and you cannot evidence gas being contained by anything more than a physical container. Impossible.
You're making a straw man. I have never said that the ideal
No, he's
gas
not, because
law...
you have to prove
I'm gonna go microwave
gas pressure without a container.
Please don't interrupt.
So it's not a straw man. He's claiming what you have to prove. In order for your magic ball tard gas pressure, you have to prove gas pressure without a container.
I never said that proves the existence of gravity, or that the existence of gravity proves the ideal gas law. That's not at all what I'm saying. Are we on the same page?
You said gravity holds it all down. So you have to prove to us gravity creating your gas pressure without a container, just gravity doing it. That's what you've got to prove to us now.
That is
now, in reality, gas pressure is created at ground level and goes up. So where is the gravity that pushes the gas down? Because all gases are moving in random collisions in different directions. They're not being uniformly pulled down. So you have zero evidence for your claim.
So I just want to take this step by step. I want to have an honest, good faith conversation. So there's a couple things that we're going to go over, right? One of them is, as you said, how does gravity create a pressure gradient? Because as you said, gas is moving randomly.
Here to school us. Right, we'll ask the questions.
I'm really trying not to be condescending, but ask your questions. Just please don't interrupt when I'm making a point. The first thing
you don't moderate this chat. You do not tell the moderators to not interrupt you, and when they can and can't speak. Well,
I'm not saying when you can't. I'm just can't we just be respectful to each other, right? I'm not going to interrupt you. You're not going to interrupt me.
Too big for your boots, bro.
Okay. The one thing, and I put it in the side chat so we can stay on track. I don't want to go in millions of different directions like a volume of gas. The ideal gas law is derived from Newtonian mechanics. So all of you agree with Newtonian mechanics. Can we
don't care.
Get that?
So the first one you can scrub.
Okay. Okay. Well, okay. You say you don't care. Do you at least agree? Do you see the reason?
The reason you want us to agree with that is so you can drag us through this part of Newtonian laws, or any of his other statements are true, therefore the rest are. So no, we're not going to agree with you. You're going to scrap that because we're not going to agree and have a all-for-one fallacy thrown in our face. Or all-or-nothing fallacy thrown in our face.
There's no fallacy.
And I can smell it already, so please don't. Throw it in the bin, scratch the first one. Move on to your second point.
Well, if we can't agree on the first one, then nothing else follows.
Yeah, but you're wrong.
You guys are...
No, but you're wrong.
I'm
PV
not wrong.
equals nRT is not Einstein, is not Newtonian's work. You've got Boyle's law, you've got Charles' law, you've got Avogadro's law, you've got other laws, that created, that developed into what we know as the ideal gas law. Just because Newtonian included the ideal gas law in his physics doesn't mean he was correct. The ideal gas law is not Newtonian. Stop saying that.
So all those laws that you just listed are derived within the framework of Newtonian mechanics. So you're contradicting yourself.
Zero care.
Yeah, so what? So what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that Newtonian physics, it doesn't mean we live on a ball, and it doesn't mean that gas can be contained by a non-pseudo force.
We're not even there yet. All we're doing is
you've got a very sly way. You've got a very sly approach. It is, because you're trying to say, because we understand that the ideal gas law is a law of gas of nature that we can agree on, that means we must now agree with all Newtonian physics. It's bollocks.
Well, if you don't agree with all of Newtonian physics, then you can't. Then how did you derive the ideal gas law?
Through Avogadro's law, through Charles's law, through Boyle's law. I've already told you.
How are those laws derived? How are those laws derived?
By understanding pressure and volume and gas behavior. Nothing to do.
Under what model framework?
When you talk about Newtonian
Under what model
physics,
framework?
No.
Under Boyle's law, Avogadro's law. He just told you. Please start listening.
How are those laws derived? Under what
Forget
model framework?
Newton. We didn't need Newton to understand the
forget
behavior of gas. Yes.
No, we
Newton,
literally cannot. We cannot have a
because
conversation.
Newton included gas laws doesn't mean that his whole theory was correct.
Newton didn't
And that's
think gas
why
law. Like that. That's not.
Newton was superseded by Einstein, because his theory isn't correct. I think you forgot about that. Newton was superseded by Einstein, meaning that he hasn't got the right physics, he hasn't got a complete theory, and actually it doesn't work, and that's why it was superseded. So stop pretending Newtonian physics works.
It does work.
The ideal gas law works, but that's
on
not
Earth.
Newtonian. Stop giving it to
works.
Newton.
On Earth. Like,
And you've tested this off Earth to verify it.
Einstein's no.
Don't
Forget about
fucking sidestep it. You've just
Forget
claimed
about
it only
space.
works on Earth. So,
Yes.
have you tested
No.
this, or has somebody else tested this off of Earth to verify your claim? Yes or no?
Yes, they have.
Liar.
No, that's not a lie.
Yes,
So
you're a fucking
where's
liar.
this been
You've been called
demonstrated?
out.
Yeah, so the first instance of Newtonian mechanics being unable to predict a phenomena was the precession of the perihelion of Mercury, and this was directly observed by astronomers in the 17 and 1800s.
So not science then. So
What?
not science. So not science then.
What do you mean, not science?
You're using metaphysics when you look at a Mercury and you make assumptions about it. You're not doing any scientific experimentation. You're correlating your predisposition of a ball and claiming that must be due to the cause of the Earth being a spinning ball. In reality, you haven't proven causation of anything to do with Mercury. So not science then.
Okay. So you're saying why? Okay, let me try and. So you're saying
to
that
the other guy who's involved earlier in
precession-
listening. Do you see why I said all of the claims of the globe is correlation? There is no science. It's metaphysics. You're seeing it in action, my friend. You're seeing someone who believes that they have scientific evidence for sky observations. It's not science.
So what?
Okay.
It's like delusion, or
No, it's an assumption. They have to pre-assume we live on a ball to make these claims. They haven't proven the ball to begin with. And this is why he's making his circular argument. Newtonian physics doesn't work. He claims it does, but it was superseded by Einstein because it doesn't work. Because in nature, we don't see mass attracting mass, and we don't have any way to prove anything about Mercury. We have to already assume we live on a ball.
So it's not scientific because it's not in a lab. I'm very confused as to why you don't believe this is scientific.
hold
Because
on.
it's an assumption.
I'm gonna play like a devil's advocate thing here for a sec, and then I'm gonna probably boot up a different game on Steam. But just assuming, like, I can learn at least one thing from the Village Idiot, let's say. Like, some things aren't reliant on other things. Like, if I wanted to teach you how to comb your beard to make it look majestic or something, I don't need to teach you...
Yeah, this is not going anywhere in a hurry, Emo. You gotta play your other game.
Like, I don't have to teach you about the philosophy of the
Pseudoscience.
world to teach you one thing.
Well,
No.
I think we're having a fundamental disagreement on what science is. Why is the precession of the perihelion of Mercury?
well,
not
Because it's
scientific?
pseudoscience,
What
that's
science? What science?
It's not. Yeah, that's a great question. What do you guys think science is?
Yeah, let's just establish that and get it out of the way. What is science?
Science, natural science, is the experimentation of the natural world to determine causation. So in order to do science, you must follow something called the scientific method. This is a rigorous method that over God knows how long has been refined into a process. If you're not able to manipulate your variables and set up what's called a scientific experiment, you're not doing science. If you claim you are without the scientific method, by definition, that is pseudoscience.
What's the definition of pseudoscience?
That which claims to be science without actual scientific method, without following the scientific method, without an observation, an experiment, independent and dependent variable, then being able to manipulate that to find the cause of something. If you're not doing that, you are not doing science.
Well, that's wrong. That's just flat out wrong. You
can call it wrong, but yeah, bad luck. Deal with it.
Okay,
you
sure. I don't know where you got your. I don't know where you got your philosophy of science from, but there's a bunch of systems that can't be controlled.
So science now is just doing observations under your
No.
Yes. Because when you look up in the sky, you're making an observation. So if I read a porno, I'm now doing science.
Hey, calm down. Calm down.
With any sort of
you can scream about porn later.
If you just look up at the sky, that's not science. But that's not all you're doing.
So what is your independent variable and dependent variable whilst you're looking up in the sky? Please enlighten everyone. What of this science experiment?
Again, can you control the sky?
No.
No. Right?
So you can't do experiments on the sky, right? Agreed?
Correct.
You can't do experiments on the objects we see in the sky. Do you agree?
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Not that you can't do an experiment, but that the framework of your experiment has to be different. If you can't, just let me finish, please. If you can't take your variables and put them in a lab and alter one variable to observe an effect in another, what you have to do is something else.
Yeah,
what you have to do is no, it's not
philosophy.
So you're not following the scientific method, therefore not science. AKA
you haven't even let me finish.
We don't need to. You've sunk yourself already.
You have, dude. And the reason why we're calling you pseudo is because you're claiming it to be science. That is the definition of pseudoscience. As soon as you claim it's science, you've become pseudo.
No. You haven't let me finish. In a laboratory setting, an independent variable might be something like the weight of the thing, or something that you're controlling to observe a dependent effect. Like, let's say, you guys understand what I'm saying. The point I'm making is, if you can't do that, then your independent variable in this case is not a mathematical value; it's a model. The independent variable in this case is the model of Newton's gravity versus Einstein's.
And a model is not reality.
DV then.
Again, this is just such a everything you guys are talking about, the ideal gas law, this is all a model. So then you would also agree that the ideal gas law is
the difference being we can do that in a lab, put gas into a container, pressurize it and go, oh wow, you need a container to hold gas pressure. You, on the other hand, without the container proving gas pressure is going to be somewhat entertaining. So here you are telling us it's just a model, but we are actually doing it. You're not.
Okay, when you're doing it, you're doing a model still. When I've
got a box and it's got gas pressure in it, that's just a model.
Right, that's ridiculous.
Gas pressure? You're modeling gas pressure.
You can systematically study the behavior of gas through observation, experimentation, and reasoning, and you can come to the conclusion of the causation of gas pressure. And that's where you get the PV equals nRT definition due to the systematic study of the natural world, aka gas pressure. That is science.
That's science. You can also make a prediction about the sky, and if your prediction turns out to be false, then you know that your initial assumption, your hypothesis, was mistaken. That's how we know Newton was
No.
wrong.
No.
Wrong.
No.
So you're
You
saying
can't look at the
science is
sky and
not
do an experiment. You've already agreed to this. You can't do an experiment on the sky.
not in the
So
in the
you have to
traditional
skip.
sense. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't
but you
take
have to
the
skip
sky and
steps
put
the
it in a lab.
scientific method. So what that means is you're having to make assumptions. You're not doing science. You're making assumptions.
I don't
And to
think
claim
you.
it's science is what pseudoscience is. How many times do we have to tell you this?
So- We're not even claiming anything's causing anything here. Like, science is much broader than just cause and effect. You can do science to determine a cause and effect. You can also do science to determine if
Natural
your
science.
predictions under a model are
natural
correct. Like, that's what you're
Physics.
okay.
We're talking about physics. We're not talking about
Yes.
psychology or sociology or economics. We're not talking about mathematics or statistics. We're not talking about technology. We're
No, we are
talking
talking
about.
mathematics and statistics.
We are
You
to
can't do
know.
science without.
We
You can't
are
do science without
talking.
mathematics and statistics.
No, mathematics is a tool that you use, okay? We are talking about natural science, aka physics, chemistry, biology. Okay? Now
I'm trying to get at the
using
heart of
natural
this issue. Like,
using
okay,
natural science, you can't do an experiment on the sky, can you? You've already agreed to this.
in the traditional laboratory sense, no.
In any sense, you don't need to take it to a lab. You can do science
Oh yeah, that's not. No,
experiments
you can do an.
outside of the lab.
experiment. No, you can do
science
an
experiments
experiment.
outside the lab, but the sky and Mercury is not an object you can do an experiment on, is it?
No, sure you can. Just take two models. Make a prediction. One model comes false. One model comes true. You've just done an experiment. Like that's
No, that's
textbook
formal. You've
experiment.
now moved from natural. You've moved outside of physics now. You've now gone to mathematical
physics.
modeling. Nope, that's not physics.
You're
That's
doing that.
mathematical
Okay.
modeling.
Find me an experiment that
Okay,
doesn't use
Mage,
mathematical
stop.
modeling.
Mate, stop. You have some idea in your head that theoretical physics is the real world. No, it's not. You can get as many imaginary models as you like and glue them all together and make a paper plane. I don't care. But natural science and theoretical science are not the same. Never have been, never will be. Okay?
Amen.
When you're thinking up your theoretical models, i.e., you don't have anything to grab hold of and throw across the room when it fucks up,
Find me a natural
it doesn't
model
mean anything.
Find me an experiment in natural science that doesn't use models. You can't.
What are you talking about? Mathematics is a tool. It's a language, a way to communicate. So when we use PVNRT equals NRT, what we're doing is we're turning
Mathematical model.
physics. We're turning physics experiments into a language, a mathematical language. Okay.
Yeah, that's called a model, dude.
Yeah, but the mathematical part is tooling. It's language. You're turning it into a language. You are not. That's not part of the experiment. In order to do the experiment, you'll need your dependent variable, your independent variable. You'll need your observation, your hypothesis, and then you need to prove that. If you can't prove it, it's not science. It becomes metaphysics. That's all. We just need you to concede on this and we'll chill out. But if you can't accept this, then we're going to go around in circles.
We are okay. So when you say prove it, prove what? Cause and effect?
Yeah, prove your claim that gravity is causing gas to behave in the way that you say it does. Because we don't need you can't even prove gravity. We don't need gravity to understand how gas works. The ideal gas law doesn't involve gravity. It involves physical containment. But you're doing all this to avoid the fact that you need a container.
Do you realize that science can do more than just establish cause and effect relationships? You can prove other things.
Okay.
So like what?
Stop
Oh,
using
certainly.
the broad term science. We're talking about natural science.
Like you can prove, does a model predict a phenomenon?
Yeah, that's not natural science, is it? That's not
I don't know
natural
what
science.
you mean by natural science. Dude.
Physics.
Like this.
Physics.
This is physics.
I'm not talking about modeling.
This is like mainstream physics.
No, you're talking about modeling and statistics. That's formal science.
You can't
Formal
find me
science
an
is not
experiment
natural science.
that doesn't use a model.
Listen, they claim economics is a science. Yeah? We know that's not a science. You are getting poured up in what's called formal science, which is not natural science, doesn't have experimentation, doesn't prove anything.
We're going to keep going in circles. Like, it doesn't, like, we're not trying to prove a cause and effect relationship when we talk about Mercury. We're just trying to determine model.
Because yes, we are, because you brought up why did you bring up Mercury? Because you're trying to prove gas pressure without containment.
No, that's not why I brought up Mercury. It's because we got into a debate about
you're trying to get into gravity. Yeah, because you're trying to get into gravity. But you don't have any natural science to back up your claim for gravity.
Oh, sure you do. You have Cavendish.
No, Cavendish is a correlation. You're not able to remove. You're not able
to. Experiment.
You're not able to prove mass can attract mass through the Cavendish experiment. There may be attraction.
Like maybe attraction. Wait, that's what gravity is. It's an attraction. It's mass attracting mass, dude.
Cavendish wasn't trying to prove gravity. Cavendish wasn't trying to prove the existence of gravity.
Because he already knew that it existed. Everyone did.
Right. So try again and something else then. Try again.
No, it still proves gravity exists. Like independent variable.
No, it doesn't. You're correlating.
Do you want to go step by step in the scientific method to show you how it's an experiment and why it works? Like, are we at this point now?
You're claiming it proves gravity. How about you go and look up the hypothesis for that so-called experiment and come back and tell us exactly what he was aiming to do? I don't think you'll like the answer, and I'll tell you a little hint. It wasn't fucking gravity.
What do you think it was? What do you think it was?
We don't need to get sidetracked by that, because the point on the table is you're trying to prove that you can have gas pressure without a container. Cavendish doesn't help you with that. That's the point here.
Well,
we can speculate on Cavendish later, but right now you're making claims you can't back up, and Cavendish definitely isn't a proof of gravity.
No, it is. Like, I don't even think we can. We're going to keep going in circles if you guys don't accept the fundamental science here.
That's not a proof of fact.
It's you that doesn't know what it is. What part of that can't you understand?
You're the one who's
You're the one that's letting this down. You're the one that keeps tripping around in circles. The only one in here that keeps saying weird shit is you. You're the one that has some kind of issue with not understanding the difference between science and pseudoscience. Straightforward question. Does it follow the scientific method? Yes or no? If not, pseudoscience. You can call it what you want. Grasshoppers fucking. I don't care. It's pseudoscience if it's not following the scientific method.
I love it when you're in the house matrix.
Yeah, okay, so I've literally put it in the side chat. There's the hypothesis. There's the independent variable. There's the dependent variable. How is this not an experiment? Like literally textbook lab experiment. This is...
Cavendish isn't proving gravity.
That's the hypothesis. Gravitational attraction between masses follows Newton's law of universal attraction, and this attraction can be measured in the lab. That's the hypothesis.
That was Cavendish's hypothesis, or your bullshit twisted one?
No, that was Cavendish's. Do I have to pull up the OG fucking texts? Are you?
Yes.
Are we?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Go and get his original fucking document and post it up for us. That'd be swell.
Out of that, find the.
And when I do, will you concede that you were wrong?
No, out of that caption his hypothesis, please.
Okay.
You're going to find
What-
you're the one that's wrong here, and that you're making an assumption, and that you're correlating any kind of attraction between two objects, that mass can attract mass. We don't have any evidence that mass attracts mass, and also you've not isolated. It's not an experiment where you've isolated enough to prove gravity or mass attracting mass is caused through this gravitational force. There is no force. You don't have a force. But we'll get to that point once you bring up the original paper.
It's definitely not a demonstration of gas pressure without a container.
Yeah, we'll get there. All right, I've got the PDF. Let me find the page.
We could just take Alpha's method to hit and just ask for verification of the existence of outer space. Sorry, correct myself there. The vacuum of outer space.
Ken, do you see how all of these arguments lead to assumptions? There is no direct evidence for any of this shit. Gravity is fully understood and explained through relative density, aka specific gravity. We know why things go up and down. Claiming that mass attracts mass has been superseded by the warping and bending of space-time, which cannot be proven, so it's an assumption. Like I said, you can't bully a flat earther. We literally are just standing on the empirical truth of the natural world. All of these formulas back our understanding of the world, not a pseudo globe without any evidence. Welcome to real science.
Can anyone hear me? I can't hear anyone. Is everyone just talking?
No one's talking.
Oh, okay.
We're patiently waiting for you.
Hi.
Okay, I'm gonna upload it to the side chat, and then I'll get you the page numbers. Cool. Oh, I can't. Can I DM it to one of you? The PDF?
Yeah, you can do it to
Oh, actually, no. I could just send a link in the side chat. There we go. So here, let me copy and
This is like
paste.
the actual page.
So what pages are you referring to? I mean, this is
This is gonna be the very first one. The quote that I put is gonna be the very first one. So, as somebody else
heading XXI, experiment to determine the density of Earth by Henry Cavendish, Esquire, FRS and AS.
Mm-hmm. Yep. As someone else pointed out, yeah, he was never trying to prove gravity with this. But here's why it does.
That's all we needed to know. You don't have to say anything else. You said he was. We said he wasn't. You've just shot yourself down in flames. Thank you. Class dismissed.
So here's how, right? Because he's assuming, or sorry, not assuming, using the Newton's gravitational equation. F equals G m1 m2 over r squared, right? He's using this equation to derive the density. He uses the measured force to calculate G, and then from G, back calculates Earth's mass and density.
So he was not trying to prove gravity. You've already stated that.
Yeah, no, he wasn't trying to prove gravity. He was trying to calculate the density.
Your claim was that he was trying to prove gravity.
No.
Yeah. You don't know me. That's why we sent you off to go and find it.
My claim was that this is
because we know fucking well that's not what he was doing.
So I'll concede that I was wrong about the explicit hypothesis. The explicit hypothesis is that many years ago he contrived a method of determining the density of Earth by rendering the attractions of small quantities of matter. My point, though, my proposition, was that this is still an experiment which proves the existence of gravity, given that...
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Balls move left, right doesn't prove balls move down. It doesn't prove the causation. Okay? You've got a name for an effect. Effect. Shit goes down. What is the causation of gravity? Guess what, mate? I'll save you some fucking heartache. Science, to date, does not know what the causational mechanism of gravity is. Do you understand what I just said?
That's the mainstream position. That's the mainstream position, bro.
Yeah, with gravity, all we have are models. In Newton's case, all he had was just mass attracts mass.
To date, they do not know what the causational mechanism of shit going down is.
I would agree. All we have are models. No physicists.
Excellent. So no gravity.
Yeah, and it's also too general to say mass attracts mass because we don't see this with gas, right? So everything with mass isn't behaving the same, is it? Gas doesn't behave this way. So to say mass attracts mass is also an assumption.
Okay, if the independent variable of this experiment is the mass, and the dependent variable is the observed force of attraction, that would be grounds that changing your independent variable causes an effect of your dependent variable. We all agree on that. That's what this experiment does. And I'll put it in the side chat.
It proves the correlation. It proves the correlation. But the problem you've got is it doesn't prove why things go down. It doesn't prove. The only thing that you can use to prove why things go down is what's called specific gravity or relative density. That, due to the gradient, is only possible within a contained system.
Okay, we're going to get to going down. It doesn't prove that things go down, sure. You're right. That experiment alone doesn't. What it does prove is that mass attracts mass.
No, that's too general.
Debunked. Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah. I mean, the theory, the Newton's gravitational equation is general. It applies to any two bodies that are massive.
Yeah, you haven't proven that all masses are attracted to all masses because gases go up. You don't have any model where all masses are being attracted to the Earth. You don't. It's dependent on the background medium because
You do.
you will have a ball under the water going up. So mass isn't attracted to mass. It's dependent on the medium. That's relative density.
No. It's not dependent on the medium. There's reasons for why some gases go up and some go down. It's not to do with relative density. Relative density doesn't provide a direction. Why would
at ground level? Most gases spend a big amount of their the beginning of their creation time going up.
Yeah, you're right. If you fill a balloon with helium, what happens?
Yeah, then that object, the balloon, becomes less dense than the air. Yeah, so then it goes up because helium is less dense than the majority of gases at ground level. Right.
Yeah, so why does it go up? Why not sideways?
Well, that's another question.
Let me have a wild guess. Gravity.
Well, I mean, ding, 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 ding. I mean, yeah, this whole relative density argument doesn't provide us a preferred direction. Like, well, why does it go up?
But your mass attracting mass argument doesn't provide a direction either, because Cavendish is not up or down, is it? No, it's not. Cavendish is not up or down.
Yeah, Cavendish is not up or down. But again, what Cavendish experiments prove is that mass attracts mass.
No, it doesn't. That's not what his goal was.
It doesn't have to be his goal.
So tell me something. Hold on. Mage, have you actually looked into the Cavendish observations, or have you just read one and went, oh, wow, mass attracts mass, therefore I can go and shove it down someone's neck? Have you actually looked into it?
I've seen people recreate it. I haven't read this original document.
You've seen people recreate it. Have you ever seen it fail?
No, I haven't.
It fails about 50% of the time, where the little balls don't move.
Yeah, in bad conditions.
All we have to do to understand water and like pressure
it can fail if you don't set up the experiment. Right.
Well, hold on.
If you don't set up the experiment right, it'll fail.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. You have to set it up correctly. I would have thought, being that I've of logical, sound fucking mind, that mass attracting mass, it wouldn't matter a fuck if you set that up correctly or not, because mass would attract mass and the balls would move towards each other anyways.
Yeah, no, that's just bad science.
No, stop. Don't tell me it's bad science. Mass attracts mass, remember. There's no such thing as not setting it up correctly. Okay?
No, there is.
Mass attracts mass. If you set it up 99%, it should still work. If you set it up 90%, it should still work. Why? Because it's not the setting up that's the experiment, it's the mass attracting mass. So why does it fail 50% of the time?
So you don't have a step one. You don't have a step one. Yeah, but you don't have a natural observation of mass attracting mass. This is your problem. Like the Matrix has just said, there is no naturally observed phenomenon because you have to set it up in a very specific way. We don't see mass attracting mass in nature.
First of all, let's ignore the fact that the Earth is massive and objects fall to the Earth. Let's ignore that for a moment. Let's ignore it.
You mean relative density? Yeah, we don't need to worry about relative density.
We've already gone over why relative density is stupid, because it doesn't provide a preferred direction. Why does it go up? Why does it go down? Why not sideways?
No, we don't need to determine why. We need to determine how. How things go up and down are due to density in regards to the medium. And we are very consistent. We can be very consistent in this. If we change the medium, we change the direction of some of these objects, i.e. you put a ball under the water and it goes up.
Yeah, that's because oh my god. Wow. Yeah, that's because of buoyancy, which literally depends on gravity.
So like I said, we can explain this with relative density. There is no force involved.
Relative density doesn't provide a direction. Like, why is it going in that direction?
Okay, maybe it's due to the Earth itself. Maybe it's due to other forces. In Cavendish, you're not isolating electrostatic forces, so maybe there's another explanation. The whole point is not us making these assumptions. We are shooting down your assumptions because you think they are proof of something. You're assuming. That was my original point. There is no evidence of a ball without assuming.
Yeah, so how do you control for electrostatic forces? You can just put it inside a wooden box, like laced with metal, basically a Faraday cage.
So wood is not electrostatic, and are you telling me there's no electrostatic?
No, wood is an insulator
in a Faraday cage, because there is.
I don't think you know how Faraday cages work, dude. Seriously?
I do. I think you don't understand the electrostatic nature of this reality and how it is present within within a Faraday cage.
What is a Faraday cage?
It protects from electromagnetic frequencies, but there is still an electrostatic gradient within a Faraday cage. It's just contained.
And why would that electrostatic gradient affect the experiment?
This isn't my claim. Your claim is that you have proof of mass attracting mass. And I'm saying you don't even have a good experiment to be able to prove that. We don't even have a natural phenomenon.
Wait, hold on. I'm checking my physics textbook. There's no electrostatic gradient in a Faraday cage. That's just not true.
Everything is inherently electrostatic. Every material, wood, every material is electrostatic, and you have an electrostatic gradient within a Faraday cage. You do.
No, you have charges, but the net charge is zero. The electrical field inside is zero. That's the definition of a Faraday cage. I'm literally reading this from my physics textbook. Like, do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, awesome. Did you do your Cavendish balls in the Faraday cage then? No.
He did, yeah.
You set them up on the table.
No, that's in the original document.
Suspended on a wire. What happens when you suspend weights on a wire? They fucking turn. You were tricked at school, mate. Fucking wake up.
Hold on. Let me get you the page.
What happens when you suspend parallel to a fucking wire, weights on the end of a bar, and they're offset? It turns. Wake up, kid. Come on. The reason it doesn't work sometimes is because some kids get lucky and they actually balance them perfectly. And they don't fucking spin.
Where is it?
He's just ignoring you. He's hoping he can find something in a book that says, haha, this is proof of gravity.
So here's
He's got no proof of gravity, no proof of curvature. He's just a sheeple caught in this awesome belief system. You're a religious zealot. That's all you are, son.
Yeah, no one gives a shit about page 470.
And page 473, yeah, he calculates the influence of the electrostatic force in the case, shows it to be negligible. Hold on, that's also in 515. So yeah, I think you guys are a little ill-informed.
I think you don't listen
on the topic.
I think you've got to learn to listen.
Okay, yeah, so Cavendish controls for electrostatic forces.
Exactly.
Listen, electrostatic is not a claim. It's just highlighting the fact that you're not isolating, you're not able to isolate in an experiment to prove that mass attracts mass. You're also, with Cavendish, not showing a downward bias. Yeah, you're not showing a downward bias. Yeah, so I'm saying this isn't evidence for why things go down.
Because gravity doesn't have a downward bias.
Right, that's your claim, but in reality, we do see a downward bias. And what you're claiming isn't comported with reality.
So the vectors are just toward the centers, and down is just toward the center of the Earth.
Towards center of what? A ball that you've not proven yet. I don't want to be rude, but if we live on a ball, there would be signs of curvature that are measurable. For example, me and you could shoot a laser dead straight across a large body of water and measure the drop over distance. Couldn't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. You realise this is being done and there's no drop over distance when measured.
Was this done by flat earthers? Because
Well, it doesn't matter who it was done by. Could be done by the Easter Bunny for all I care.
Wait a
but all they've got
second,
to do is shoot a laser and measure the fucking height of it.
Is he saying that if a flat earther does something, it's not right?
I think so.
Because they're a flat earther.
Not what he said.
Well, then why would you ask the question?
Yeah, because generally speaking, lay people or people without formal training, they'll make a lot of just scientific mistakes. That's usually what I find with these quote unquote experiments.
So, scientific mistakes. So when I hand you a tape measure and say measure from the ground to the laser, which is only about 1 foot, do you think you could do that?
I could do that.
Excellent. So let's drive around the other side of the lake now, and it is 28.6 miles across. So we've got a bit of driving to do. We'll go around the other side, and I ask you to do the same thing again. Measure from the ground to the laser. Do you think you could do it again?
What if the guy
the problem isn't that I couldn't do it. The problem is that my results are probably
Hold
not
on a
accurate.
second. Someone's making noise. Right. Sorry, I missed
I could
that.
do it,
Do you think you
but
could do it
is it-
again?
Yeah, I could do it.
Excellent.
Is it good
So-
science? Is it good science? No.
Why is it not good science? Please.
You're not taking into account confounding variables.
Confounding variables such as?
What science is it that you measure with?
Hold on.
What science
Hold
is
on.
that?
Hold on. So I'm going to answer his other question. Confounding variables like the atmosphere.
What about it?
Yeah. The atmosphere refracts light, and so that's going to alter the true position of where the light actually is.
Okay,
where the
so
light's actually
how about I drop this on you? At 150 miles, 150 kilometres, that's about 92 mile, the offset is about 7 millimetres. So we're only going 30 miles or 28.6. So 3 millimetres, I don't think is much to worry about. So
What?
we're off
Wait,
by
where did you
3
get-
millimetres.
Where did you
We're
get
off
that
by
from?
3
Where'd you get that number
millimetres.
from?
How
Where'd you get that number
about we do the tape measure again? Do you think you can measure from the ground to the laser light? Yes or no?
Where'd you get that number from? 3 millimeters.
Who gives a fuck where I got it from? It's only going to be out by not much.
Yeah, by not much. Like, what is not much? You're not being a good scientist.
Okay, it's going to be out by 5% at best. So 1 foot plus
where'd you get that
5%. What does that equal?
You're being a bad scientist right now.
It
Like,
doesn't
I'm asking
matter.
you-
Just shut the fuck up and...
No.
You know
No,
what?
it does matter.
I've had enough of you. You're a pain in the cunt. And everyone's going to cheer because they don't have to listen to it. Your refraction, Mage, which you're going to pull your dick over, at best will range, and this is an extreme day. And I'm using refraction exceptionally loosely because by definition there's supposed to be a second medium for the light to pass through, and it bends at the joint of the two mediums. So it's not refraction. You're probably talking about looming or towering or sinking or some other optic phenomena, but it's not refraction. Anyways, on a good day, you're probably looking somewhere around maybe 7%. And when I say a good day, really, really, really bad bending of light. So 1 foot plus 7% or minus 7% ain't worth worrying about over 30 fucking miles. Alright? So, now that you've got that through your stupid thick skull, you're sitting there going, nah, I want some numbers to go with it. Get off your ass, stop listening to the fucking shit you're force-fed at school, and go outside and check some shit out for yourself. Fuck me. Sick of these snotty-nosed little fucking teenagers that think they know everything.
Well, that's not good science.
I
I
think
never
the problem
claimed it was
is.
science. It's an observation.
I think the problem is, and I don't want to talk about him in a negative way, but I think he's part of his identity probably is quite proud of his education and puts a lot of faith and trust in it. when it comes to sort of verifying that, I don't think that's something that is on his or has ever been on his agenda. So I think he's ran with it. I think what the quote they use is "on the shoulders of giants." You know, he missed the discussion earlier where we established if the foundation is faulty, then like math, it's only as good as the inputs. Your conclusion is only as good as the inputs that you put into it. And I think this is the problem. You get people who trust fully and wholeheartedly what they've been taught, and they're not willing to question at this point. Too late for them.
I question everything.
Right, but you're not accepting that all of your evidences that you've given are assumptions. They're correlations.
I can get into that. What the other guy said about 7% not being enough, actually, that is enough. That's statistically significant. So you can't actually.
Okay, 1 foot plus or minus 7%. Let's have a look at this. Get the old electronic brain out because I don't feel like doing that. 1 foot, 12 inches. 12 plus 7% equals 12.84. So it doesn't even make 1 inch at 30 miles. Difference.
Wait, 7% of 30 miles is 3 inches? That can't
Maybe
be true.
it's a hearing problem that you've got, not a learning problem.
No, that can't be true.
He doesn't know how to do
I didn't say that.
He doesn't know how to do percentages. That's why he doesn't understand what you said. So he's going to say something different.
Okay, Mage, I'm going to go nice and slow for you. 1 foot. What is 7% of 1 foot?
How many?
And add it on to the 1 foot.
Is it 7% of 30 miles or 7% of?
No, that's not what I said.
So what'd you say?
1 foot.
Why 1 foot?
Because that's how high the laser off the fucking ground's going to be.
Okay, it's gonna be 1 foot off the ground.
Yep.
7 over 100 times 1.
Let me double check if this is true.
7 over 100 times 1.
Got 12 inches.
It's so obvious what he's doing right now.
7%.
He's using chatbot. He's using chatbot to try to figure this out.
There you go, Radwin. There you go, Radwin.
No, I'm not. I can even share my stream. I'm just using like an online calculator. If that's.
But you claim to be good at math. Why are you not just answering the question? I thought you were good at math. That's really easy.
He's not good at this kind of math anymore. He's dumb at math when it comes to answering questions.
So I don't know if the implications are true. That's why.
Okay, it comes out at 12.84. Please tell me you got 12.84 because that tells me I clicked the right button.
So distance to the object is 30 miles. Is the eyesight just at ground level, like 0 feet?
It's a laser. That's the distance you're measuring from the ground, 1 foot.
What's the eyesight
the other
level?
end?
How
at the
high
other end, with your claimed refraction.
1 foot.
Okay, hold on. He doesn't understand even what you're doing. Dude, imagine this because it's the only way it's going to help you. You go into a gymnasium and you set a laser up 1 foot off the height of the gymnasium floor and you spin it around. Will it make a line around the gym 1 foot high on the wall?
I don't think so. I don't.
Okay, you're retarded. Never mind.
I just don't know what you're asking.
You don't understand what a laser is, do you?
No, I just genuinely don't understand your question.
If I take a laser and I level it, if I level a laser, what will it be doing?
If you level, it's gonna go straight.
Okay, so will it hit a wall if I put it in a gym?
Oh yeah.
Okay, will it be 1 foot off the ground in the gym?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, now you understand. Now we're going to move the laser outside and have it 1 foot above the water, and we're going to shoot it. Over 30 miles, you got a 7% in that 1 foot. So over 30 miles, you have 0.84 inches it can be off, according to you. So now what are you going to do? Now do you understand?
No. What's the
Okay,
7%?
no, you don't understand. Okay.
What are you taking the 7% of?
That's your refraction, because refraction normally flows between, on a strong day, 5 and 10%. So let's use the middle, which is about 7%. So 1 foot, which comes out at 0, but you've claimed refraction. So I'm going to add the 7% on top of that, which takes us to 0.85, so 12.85 inches. So you're now out by 0.85 of 1 inch over 28.6 miles. Now what I want you to do is keep that 0.85 in your head, because I want you to go to an Earth curve calculator and have a look at what the actual drop over distance should be for 28.6 miles.
Okay, so you're saying like we shouldn't be able to see it. Like you're saying the curve.
I haven't said that. I asked you to keep that 0.85 in your head. Or 84, sorry, my bad.
Come from? I'm on the Earth curvature calculator. I just put in the distance to object and the eyesight level.
So you put in the distance to object of 28.6 miles.
20.86 miles, okay.
28.6.
6 miles, okay.
28.6.
Eyesight level is 1 foot.
1 foot.
You probably had help when you were in school, didn't you? Like a lot of helpers. You know what I mean? Wink, wink.
Taking the clowns off him so he wouldn't eat them.
Yeah, you don't understand this simple shit we're doing here. And you're talking about science. That's not proper science. You don't even know what a fucking inch is.
Okay. I'm a visual learner, so that's why.
Yep. I was right.
Okay, so how tall an object would have to be?
Target hidden height. How tall does your target have to be in order for you to see it over the horizon?
Got it. Yeah. So, like, how tall an object would have to be for any part of it to be visible. So,
correct.
So if the distance,
how tall would it have to be?
So if the distance to object is 28.6, eyesight level is 1. Ignoring atmospheric effects, I'm assuming, because it doesn't ask. The lowest visible point must be 500 feet off the ground, at least.
499.7.
499.76.
Yeah.
Or 76, yeah.
Excellent. Right. So, which one is bigger? 0.84 or 500 feet?
Say that again?
My God. Okay. You're claiming refraction is going to make a big deal. Your refraction gained or lost you, let's just round it to 1 inch. Do you think 1 inch, when you're talking 500 feet, is much to be concerned about? Yes or no?
7% of 500 feet? Yeah.
No, not 7% of 500 feet.
The guy's a
7%
retard.
of 1 foot.
It's pointless even talking to him. You can hear it in his voice that he's way in over his head right now. He's like in math 101, physics 101, all these classes that you should have in high school. He's trying to take them now in college, I think. Math. What is math? And adding numbers, subtracting. He doesn't even understand that part of math. And he's talking about doing science? He's an idiot.
Absolutely. You can hear it in his voice.
I don't know. Can you tell me why you're taking the 7% of 1 foot rather than the 500 that you'd need?
Because the refraction, lasers shoot dead straight, i.e., fucking 0. So if you hold a laser up in the gym at 1 foot, it hits the wall at 1 foot. Remember that bit?
Yeah.
Can you tell by the condescending tone I'm not really impressed with having to repeat this to a fucking stupid person like myself? Now,
hey.
Then we grab said laser, we take it outside. The laser still points dead straight. Now you claimed refraction is the cause of the laser not being dead straight. Now refraction will only give you between 5 and 10% offset. So if we're at the ground 0, technically 10% of 0 is still 0. So you're lucky I'm being nice. At 1 foot, 10%.
Let me think.
So 12 inches, 1.2 inches on top. So we've established that your difference of 1 foot is now going to be 13.2 inches. That's it. So when your actual drop over distance is 500 feet, 1.2 inches, I don't think that's going to get lost in the calculation, mate. Sorry.
I think you hot mic and Archangel.
Oh, sorry. What's going on in here? What are we talking about?
Drop over distance or lack thereof.
Who's are there flat earthers in here? Are they all flat earthers in here?
We're all here.
Majority.
We're just explaining to somebody else that there's no drop over distance to be observed at any distance.
So you wouldn't take the 7% or 10% or whatever number of the 1 foot height. You would take it of the Earth's curvature.
You don't have any Earth curve.
You've got to prove the curvature first. That's what we're using the laser for, remember? Oh, that's a bitch.
Yeah, so what you do to model this is you would take... So you want to prove that there's...
No, we're not modeling it. We're out in reality measuring it.
Plus, you can't tell us anything about this when you don't know what percentages are.
No, I know what percentages are, but so it would be
how did you get it wrong?
50-foot, 40-foot difference, because the percentage that you're taking it of is the wrong quantity to take it of.
No. If I shine the laser on the wall and I tell you at the wall we could be off plus or minus 5% of the height. What are you gonna say? What's the distance?
Not of the feet off the ground. No.
Yeah, So it's not gonna. There's not gonna be any variation. Feet off the ground. It's always gonna be 1 foot then.
The laser will always be 1 foot, but the height that you need to be to see it is going to be different. Yeah.
No, it's at 1 foot you can see it. 1 foot you can shoot it, and 1 foot you can see it.
No, not over 30 miles.
Yes.
So taking into account atmospheric effects, yeah, you can, because the light bends downward.
No, light doesn't bend around the ball.
It doesn't bend around anything except a medium. So it doesn't have to be a ball. It just has to be a different
medium. Is there.
Okay, Mage, this is what's got to happen. In order for you to prove your light bending around the ball, and in this case, at 30 miles, it's got to bend 500 feet. So what you've got to do, at very specific intervals between point A and point B, you've got to have vertical lines sticking up, right? And as that light hits each of these vertical lines, the density of the air has to get greater. So when you go the first step, it hits the first line. The density has to get greater. Then from that point to the next point, it has to get greater again. Then it has to get greater again. Then it has to get greater again. This is what's got to happen in order for you to bend light around a ball. So from where you're starting from to the other side, it's got to gradually get colder. The whole way at a perfect rate the whole way in order for this to take effect.
Right, I'm sure that's what happens. The density changes.
Wow.
Well, the problem is, mate, the density doesn't doesn't layer itself in vertical lines. It stacks itself in layers, all horizontal layers. So when you've got an air temperature and a water temperature, depending on the difference of the two, if one of them is warmer than the other, or vice versa, that will give you different effects. Sinking, towering, all optical phenomena that are known.
How old are you?
I'm 22, but okay, so we all know that the Earth's atmosphere gets less dense with altitude. So
we're not going out. So stop. You're only 1 foot from the ground.
Right.
So
yeah, but
you saying it gets less dense with altitude means fuck all because we're only 1 foot from the ground.
Okay, so we're trying to establish, is the Earth a globe? We have the model. I don't, for whatever reason you don't.
You don't have a model. We have a laser. We're pointing it across a lake that's 28.6 miles across.
Yeah, but what's happening is that
Stop. You're pre-assuming globe. We don't know a shape yet. We're out there going, gee whiz, I wonder what shape the ground is. Here's an idea. Let's shoot a laser across a fucking great big lake and let's test and see if it's flat.
Wait, so you're not presupposing it's flat, right? You're testing to see if it's flat or round or curved.
Yep.
Right, so you construct two different models, one where it's flat and one where it's curved.
No, because we don't know what shape it is.
So you construct a globe Earth and then you construct a flat Earth?
That makes no sense, bro.
Yeah, then I don't know what you're like. What's your independent and dependent?
Yeah, you've been in here before.
It's not an experiment.
Times. You're bad,
This is not
dude.
an experiment.
It's not an experiment. So you're not proving.
No, it's an observation. That's all it is. It's an observation. I don't know why you suddenly thought it was an experiment.
It's an observation.
That's right, an observation where you look at stuff. We may then later compare it to something else, but at the moment, we're going to look and we're going to measure. So we're going to set up a laser, we're going to set it up 1 foot from the ground, and then we're going to go around the other side of the lake and measure how high it is above the water. That's it. It's not really hard.
Yeah. And let's say you do that, and you're able to see the laser. How do you know that it wasn't? How do you know that the light wasn't bending toward the denser medium?
Well, you've got to prove that if you're going to make the claim of that.
Oh yeah, so then we just set up an experiment where we have two models, and the one that comes true is the globe model. That's the one that is verified by observation.
And the reason it's wrong is because the 7/6 bullshit is how you've constructed your model in the first place. So naturally, when you go and apply the formula of 7/6, it's going to work. Fancy that.
Yeah, it's not how... No. Oh, that's not how...
Okay, I'll tell you something now, and I need you to understand this. Your so-called atmospheric refraction, which you are appealing to, I would like you to go and look up how it's calculated.
So usually there's a standard value, but if you want to...
How is it calculated? Atmospheric refraction. How is it calculated? Since you're good at Googling shit, please do it. Just the formula. Exactly, Helio. Yep.
Observation. Well, can't do that. Looks like there's a couple ways to do it.
R times what? Something K minus something else. Brackets.
There's a couple different ways people have, but looks like What is this?
KFE over R. There you go. What is R? Mage, what is the R in the formula?
Say. I don't know which formula you're talking about.
This is a mind bender for him.
There's a couple.
What is R?
Just say something.
R in what formula?
In the formula.
What is the formula? I'm looking at a couple. There's one that's R effective equals R over 1 minus K.
That'll do me. I'm happy with that. What is R?
Earth's radius.
Oh, so hang on a minute. You haven't got that yet. So how can you apply refraction to atmospheric refraction to something you haven't worked out yet?
From what I'm looking at, by using a refractive index profile.
He's an idiot.
So you're going to work out refraction from a refractive index profile from a radius that you haven't got yet.
This equation doesn't use radius.
What's the R?
Yeah, that one does. This one doesn't. Let me copy and paste it for you. Here.
Can you identify circular reasoning?
So
yeah, no,
here's your other problem you've got, Mage. If you're going to claim refraction, that means this refraction is there all the time. And if that's the case, how do you prove you're on a ball if it's always refracted? Because you'd never be able to measure anything. Because it's always refracted, remember?
I don't know what that question is. I'm trying to get you more details.
You're trying to sidestep the fact that you've just been bent over and sent home with no change.
Okay.
It's weird that you got to read out loud to yourself.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what you're trying to
I was
cook
just
up.
listening to that.
Looks like N of H is the total refractive angle. So this definition,
Refractive
this
angle.
model.
Refractive angle. Hold on, angle. Angle measured from what?
Measured from what? Like the device?
Angle measured from what? So you've just said there was a refractive angle. The only time I know of a refractive angle is when you apply Snell's law, and it's the angle from where the line of light travels from one medium to the other in relationship to those two mediums.
Well, if you're talking about angles anyway, you can't have angles on a ball. So him saying refraction is an angle. If you have curved air and curved water, you don't have angles, dude.
Yeah.
Unless you didn't learn that in school either.
Let me see.
Let me ask chatbot. Any other master globers in here like this guy?
Actually, let's just send this home. Hey, Mage, inside chat, can you see the lovely coastal picture there?
Yeah, I can see it.
Right, so you're having a good look at it? Down on the bottom, close to the bottom left corner, you can see where the cars are parked around that little half circle thing there.
Here, I guess we can just use Snell's Law.
Yeah, no, you can't because you've got to have a second medium. Anyways, back to the picture. You can see where the cars are. Left-hand side. Down the bottom. See where the cars are parked?
Say yes. We all see him. Just say yes, buddy.
I see him, so you have to see him, dude.
Wait, you mean the cars? I see the cars.
Yes.
Side chat. Coastal picture. You can
Pay
see that.
attention to him when he's talking to you so we don't have to repeat things 10 times. Stop looking at other shit and pay attention.
Where those cars are parked, in the middle of that half-assed roundabout. Now, when you scroll all the way to the top of the image, you can see the horizon. Now, see up probably a quarter of the way in where the coast sticks out. You can see that last little bit where it sticks out, right up there on the horizon. You can see water on the right-hand side, land on the left, and there's a definite line. You can see where it stops. Yeah. From that car park to that point that you can see sticking out there is 143 miles.
Okay.
Now, how high do you reckon the drone is above those cars? 500
not
foot?
sure.
1,000 foot? 2,000 feet?
I don't know.
You want have a wild guess, mate?
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet? I'll be generous.
Yeah.
We'll take it up to 1,500 feet, just in case, yeah? Go and punch that into your Earth curve calculator. 143 mile, 1,500 feet.
No, it's ridiculous. You're just like you can.
Yeah. Go and put it in the Earth curve calculator. 143 miles, 1,500 foot.
So when I send my drone up and cars look about that size, it's about.
By the way,
300 feet in the air.
To answer the other guy's question, how do we verify?
He's changing everything around.
Yeah, Mage, this is how it's going to work. You're going to get on the Earth curve calculator, distance, 143 miles. Now, I'm being quite generous in allowing you to have, you know what, I'll step it up to 2,000 feet. 2,000. 2,000 feet high that drone is, even though we all know bloody well it isn't. Where's the horizon?
You're not seeing that drone at 2,000 feet, so whoever shot that is not going to take their eyes off the drone over an ocean.
Mage, just so you know, they are not made up numbers. That is the actual distance from that roundabout to that point that's way up in the end. 143 mile.
So that drone is 143 miles up in the air.
Are you deaf or fucking stupid? At what stage did I say the drone is 143 miles in the air?
Well, you didn't. That's why I asked.
Well, right. So that means that's how many.
So
what did I say? From the car park to the point, way up in the distance. How far is that?
You mean to when you say up to the point? Do you mean the horizon or the little? Because I'm looking at the point off of the edge of the sea.
Okay, let's do this the easy way. Do you know what a horizon is?
Yeah, it's the point where the sea meets the sky.
Excellent. So let's start right up at the top.